Welcome to Better with Art. I'm Melinda, and I'm here to encourage you to reclaim your creativity and establish a healthy habit of creative self-care with one small art prompt per week, which can be done in an art journal or on paper if you don't have one. If you are interested in one to get started with my simple form of art journaling, my top recommendation will be in the description. This week we are continuing with the project started last week, which seems a very long time ago. I hadn't intended to wait so long to move on, but maybe get ahead on a video. But that is not the way life worked out. So this week, as you can see, I have out my basic 8 set of Crayola watercolors. My spray bottle needs to be refilled. If you caught yesterday's, let's see, it wouldn't be yesterday now. Day before yesterday's. Oh, I'm so confused. Anyway, water bottle. Water spray bottle. Necessary tool for mixed media art. If you missed last week's, you will want to go back and make some neurographic art. Although I had the watercolor in mind, I wasn't really thinking about it when I made my lines. So I will be choosing smaller areas within my neurographic art, but also not just one segment at a time. You may have seen last year some of my neurographic art that I watercolored and just let the watercolor spread and do its thing through the whole thing. This time I wanted to play a little with not just the color blending, but also some boundaries. The trick with being able to play with our colors and blend it and keep them from interfering too much with the colors next to them is working in areas that are separated by white space while things dry. So I've just started putting some color on my paper in a defined section, which I see I got a little too much water in. So paper towels, or as I have, drop towels, are also something you should always have on hand when starting an art project that involves water, especially. And we'll want to protect our lines. I can't tell if you can tell on camera. Oh my goodness, I'm just making things worse right now. Nothing is level in my old house. But as you can see, I have some water on this line. So if I tried to paint next to that, my watercolor from one section would very likely end up in the other. And I've made a little bit of a mess, but that's okay because it's my art journal. And our art journals are places where we can experiment and express ourselves without fear of what others will think. Because you can just do yours in the privacy of your own home without filming it and sharing it with whomever happens to stumble upon it on YouTube. But I share my art journal art to encourage others to reclaim their creativity and take time for creative self-care because it is so good for our mental health. I gave up a regular art making practice for years and I was not as healthy. Discovering the 100-Day Project in 2022 was transformative for me. I used it as my reason, my excuse, my reason to give myself permission to make art every day for 100 days. And, well, I never really looked back. It's why I started the 52-week art journal journey in 2023 and why Better with Art continues today. Because I want to encourage as many people as possible to make art, to take the time to make art. I want to remind them that art making is not a waste of time, and it is amazing for our mental health. So I'm just playing with the paint, just relaxing, like I did last week with the neurographic art. You may have caught one of my Better with Art videos in which I talked about color mixing and how blending complementary colors tones them down can create a really interesting fall color palette. It's not fall now. It's spring, but if you could look outside my window right now, it very much does not look like spring. We have inches of snow on the ground. And I can't say that I'm happy about that fact, but I can also create my own sunshine. So this week, take some time to play with color mixing, but I encourage you to also be mindful of some boundaries. That's another topic I covered over several weeks toward the beginning of the 52-week art journal journey, because they're necessary. Another important thing to our mental health. Having trouble deciding where to make the borders of this. And apparently remembering where I did. That's okay. It's not the product, it's the process. But if I get really frustrated in the middle of the process, it's counterproductive. So back to the complementary color concept again. Complementary colors. Yellow and purple. So let's just look at this purple on its own. If any of you have used the Crayola sets, you know that the purple is violent. But if we take our violent purple and we blend it with some of the very bright sunshiny yellow, it's already changed it. And we have a very nice, muted, but lovely new color. This one will look a little more orange when I add yellow, but let's bring it down. You can see more how it's starting to vary. And that one is getting rather orange. That one pulled rather red with that, whatever ratio I had of the colors together. So I think that's rather lovely. Sometimes I use my Crayolas for their vibrancy. Oops, that wasn't supposed to be part of this. Oh well. But I also enjoy blending them for these lovely muted shades. This is sort of a purpley blue, but the complement of blue is orange. Whoops. Let's see. Where's a place not touching a wet place? So as I mentioned, I did not get back to this particular art making as soon as I expected I would, because life. And I know you also may have a lot going on in your life. And you may think taking time to make art is a waste of time. But you've probably noticed just in your own practice, your own experience, that art making is really good for us. And science is increasingly backing that up. It reduces cortisol levels. It helps us think more clearly. It helps our brain form connections. So last week, I took my art journal and finished my neurographic lines off camera, which was very nice. You may have noticed that I have another YouTube series going on right now where I am every day sharing a collage paper that I am making. So there is a whole lot of art making going on in my house right now, and I'm loving it. There's a whole lot of other stuff going on right now that I'm not loving. But the art helps. Reclaiming making art and now sharing it with others and encouraging them to make their art is just such a vital part of who I am. I feel like I'm more living my purpose. And it's very gratifying to get some feedback. I'm enjoying a whole lot of new subscribers on YouTube and followers on Instagram, with the understanding that I get to reach more people with my art. I get to say, hey, art is important. And I come closer to making it. I come closer to achieving it being my part-time job as opposed to my part-time job. I mean, it is my part-time job, but I can't quit that other part-time job without making more on. That sounded weird. Wow. Have I ever mentioned the fact I'm easily distractible? Squirrel. Or moron. Okay, so, right. Slow progress is still progress, and slow progress is good progress, and I continue progressing toward being more of what would be broadly accepted as an artist. And I'm kind of rambling. My original point was talking about how much I have going on right now is to encourage you to take the time to step back, sit down, or stand. I usually actually prefer to stand when I'm making art. It's just, I don't know, the way I'm wired. It's not a waste of time. You both deserve to take the time, and it also benefits those around you. And I said I was going to be more mindful of boundaries, but I'm really liking using the clean water and letting the light color spread through. But yes, if you don't want to create mud, be mindful of your boundaries and also of how colors work together. And if you don't really have a good grasp on that, the best way to learn is to do. Thank you for tuning in for another Better with Art video. I hope you find some inspiration, and what would be the word? I hope it gives you some reassurance that you're on the right track if you are trying to make the time, take the time to practice creative self-care art making. So if you don't have some neurographic art already made from last week, or if you are unfamiliar with what I'm talking about, or you're wondering how I put all these lines together, and why. Check out last week's video, link in the description. Enjoy that if you haven't, and then take some time to just enjoy and relax with letting watercolors play on your paper. Like I said, I did intend to be more mindful about my boundaries, but using what I know of the watercolors, which, you know, is never completely, controllable. You can never know exactly how things will turn out because they're watercolors. But you can also, if you're not happy with an area, you can use some water on your paper towel and lighten it up. This, I'm going to just absorb some of the wet so it's not running so much, and it will dry faster. Take some time for art. Your mind and your heart and your soul will thank you. It's amazing the difference some time making art can make. Another reason I use the Crayola watercolors for my Better with Art videos, because they are inexpensive and reclaiming your creativity shouldn't have to cost a lot of money. Unfortunately, everything is more expensive than is helpful. And I'm very mindful of that because, well, I don't have endless money either. But as I am an artist, it is a little different for me. But as you get back into your art making practice and you find the things that you love the most, that light you up the most, and then start investing more money in those areas. Until then, you can buy Crayola or even cheaper sets of watercolors at your local, not really a dollar store anymore. I do like the set of 8 Crayolas, particularly for color mixing exercises. So you can see what an amazing array of other colors you can get just, well, even if you eliminate the brown and the black, just with your primary and secondary colors of red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. I hope you have found value in this video. If you are still turned in, wow, I'm a little tired. If you're still tuned in, I assume you are finding value. Give me a like to let me know that I'm reaching you, and if you plan to make some art of your own, subscribe to catch future prompts and creative encouragement, and share with someone else who may need to be reminded that taking time for art is not a waste of time. As usual, things went a little differently than I expected. However, which is also as usual, I'm loving where my brain took me. I also have a private Facebook group. The reason I have limited it to subscribers is to make it easier to know someone really wants to be there. It's to keep the group private and, shall I say, safe for members. It is an only encouraging place to share and, yes, be encouraged. And to encourage others on this journey. See, this is what I was originally going to avoid. But it's also a lot of fun to play with. Make some neurographic art. have some fun with watercolors, practice creative self-care this week, and I'll be back next week with another video.